Even though Christian Cage didn't get to main event status in his first tenure with WWE, he definitely proved himself worthy when he left for TNA in 2005. He made his debut at the Genesis pay-per-view, and it was there that he announced he would be coming after the NWA Championship, which Jeff Jarrett held at the time. Bobby Roode and Scott D'Amore, fellow Canadians and members of Team Canada, came to offer Christian a spot in their team, and Christian told them that he'd consider it. However, Christian made it clear that he wouldn't be joining them when he attacked Jeff Jarrett and Team Canada, who were helping Jarrett during the main event. Then at the Turning Point pay-per-view, Christian got the chance to become the #1 contender for the NWA title, but he had to go through Monty Brown, who also wanted the shot, and Christian got the win, hitting him with an unprettier to become the #1 contender. Before challenging for the title though, going into 2006, he'd end up in a tag team match at Final Resolution, teaming up with Sting to face Jeff Jarrett and Monty Brown. Christian and Sting came out on top after Sting hit Jarrett with a Scorpion Death Drop, and then it was officially announced that Christian would face Jarrett for the title against all odds. And after Christian hit Gail Kim, Jarrett's valet, with a powerbomb, he hit Jarrett with an unprettier and became the new NWA champion. After the celebrations were over, Christian started taking being the champ very seriously, and he had to put the title on the line for the first time against Monty Brown at Destination X. And after reversing the Alpha Bomb, Christian hit him with an unprettier and retained the title for the first time. Then Christian defended outside of TNA, retaining against Billy Kidman at NEW WrestleFest X, Jay Lethal at LSW, and Samoa Joe at NEW again. But back on TNA, a feud was building with the Monster Abyss, as Abyss and his manager, Father James Mitchell, started to stalk Christian's wife Denise, and they even tried to drown Christian in his own family pool. This led to Christian putting his title on the line against Abyss at Lockdown in a 6 Sides of Steel match, and Christian retained his title, but after the match, he tried to attack James Mitchell to get some revenge. But it was Abyss who got some revenge, KOing Christian with a steel chain and stealing his title belt. You can imagine the champ was pissed off about having his belt stolen, but he'd get another win over Abyss at BSW Doomsday, and then they met again at Sacrifice, this time under Full Metal Mayhem rules, and Christian would get the win and finally managed to get his title belt back. He'd then retain in matches over at NEW against Abyss and AJ Styles, but then he faced one of his biggest challenges yet, and that was putting his title on the line in the King of the Mountain final as Slammiversary against former champ Jeff Jarrett, Abyss, Sting, and Ron the Truth Killings. Unfortunately for Christian, his 126-day reign with the NWA Championship was ended by Jeff Jarrett after getting some help from 2 referees. However, due to the controversial finish, the title was declared vacant, but only until Jim Cornette handed the title back to Jarrett, but on the condition that he'd defend it against the winner of a fatal 4-way match at Victory Road between Christian, Sting, Samoa Joe, and Scott Steiner. Sting won the fatal 4-way, becoming the #1 contender, and Christian decided to become an ally. He told Sting that he wanted to be in his corner for the title match against Jarrett at Hard Justice, and Sting agreed. But of course, Christian turned on him during the match, smashing Sting over the head with Jarrett's guitar, which allowed Jarrett to retain the title. Christian went into 2007 without a title around his waist, but after his old friend Tonko helped him in a match against Sting, they joined forces, and he set his sights on the title again. He ended 2006 facing the champ Abyss and Sting at Turning Point, and unfortunately, he couldn't get the win, and Abyss retained the title. However, at the first pay-per-view of 2007, Final Resolution, he'd fight for the title against Abyss and Sting again, and this time, Christian got the win and took the title back. He had to put his title on the line against the prime Kurt Angle though, as he became #1 contender at Final Resolution after beating Samoa Joe in a 30-minute Iron Man match. But Christian had a plan to get one over on Angle, and he hired a special consultant to train him. And that consultant was none other than Scott Steiner. They'd throw down against all odds, and Christian retained after some help from Tonko and Steiner, hitting Angle with a steel pipe and an unprettier. After this, Christian said that he, Steiner and Tonko are an inseparable family, and officially named the faction Christian's Coalition. Christian and the Coalition had TNA on lock, and they ended up in a feud with Samoa Joe, with Christian putting his title on the line against him at Destination X, and Christian defended successfully once again. Then, at Lethal Lockdown, Captain Charisma would captain a team of 5, adding more members to the Coalition. It'd be Tomko, Steiner, AJ Styles, Abyss, and Christian, and they'd face Team Angle, which consisted of Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, Rhino, Sting, and Jeff Jarrett. A stipulation was also added to the match, and that was whoever gets the pin would become the #1 contender for Christian's NWA title. And Sting was the man to do it, getting a shot at Christian and the title at Sacrifice. Before we got to Sacrifice though, Christian retained in a match against Sting by DQ on Impact, and then against Samoa Joe over at NEW WrestleFest 6. But after this, the Coalition started to fall apart. Abyss was kicked out of the group after attacking Christian on an episode of Impact, and then Steiner got removed from the group, with Tomko attacking him at Sacrifice. So Christian was set to face Sting one-on-one for the title in the main event, but Kurt Angle was also added to the match, and Christian didn't have much of a coalition anymore. It would get even worse for Christian, as before the match, he was stripped of the title, with his second reign with the title being brought to an end at 119 days. He still made his entrance with the belt though, but it was just billed as the World Heavyweight Championship, and the match would end controversially, with Angle making Sting tap, while Sting was pinning Christian. So on the next episode of Impact, Angle came to the ring with the new TNA World Heavyweight Championship, and announced himself the new champion. Then, down came Christian and Sting, and the three of them argued over who was the real champion. However, Cornette came to the ring, and he declared the title vacant, and he chose to make a tournament to determine the new champion. So Christian would face Abyss in a match, and he got the win to advance to the final, which would be a King of the Mountain match at Slammiversary, against Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and Chris Harris. Unfortunately for Christian, he wasn't able to get the win, and Kurt Angle was the man to hang the title belt to become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Then it got even worse for Christian, as he faced Kaz in a ladder match at Genesis to determine the #1 contender, but Christian lost his chance after falling from the ladder straight onto Tomko and AJ, who were the only two from the Coalition who were willing to try and help Christian win. As you can imagine, this caused some tension between them, and Tomko and AJ decided to help Angle, who would grab the title in the main event, and Tomko and AJ joined the Angle Alliance. This led to a title match between Christian and Kurt Angle at Final Resolution, and after AJ Styles interfered, Christian missed another chance to become the champ again, as Angle hit him with an Angle Slam and got the win. He would get a rematch against Angle against all odds. However, Tomko interfered this time and cost Christian another chance at grabbing the title again. So this was the official end of Christian's Coalition, but it was also the end of Christian's title hopes. Well, he did challenge for the title one more time, in a King of the Mountain match at No Surrender, against Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle, but he was unsuccessful, and he ended up leaving the company in 2009, eventually returning to WWE. Even though he ended up having a much better run in WWE the second time, picking up the ECW Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship when he returned, he just didn't shine as much as he did when he was in TNA as the NWA World Champ. But I don't know, let me know what you think about his runs in TNA, WWE and AEW. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, click here for another, and if you want to become a dog yourself, check the links in the description.